Hello, and thanks for tuning in here today to Cedar Creek. And I just wanted to show you, do a little product update. I'm not getting paid from Stihl to advertise their products, but I happen to like them really well. And I have a MS-250 chainsaw here, and I love this little chainsaw. I bought it about 3 years ago. It starts all the time, runs great. But I wanted to give you just a few little things on it. I like this, these nuts right here, and they're a little bigger, but the wrench they send with you, you can flip it over and it has the smaller ones, and if you lose one of these, you can take the nut like off of a Poland chainsaw and put on there, and your wrench, all you got to do is flip over and you can use it. And my son had figured that out, worked really well, because we had one of those nuts come off of there. So when you put your chain on, you want to make sure you get those really, really tight. And the thing that tightens your chain is right in there, and the little wrench they send has the little screwdriver blade, just like any other chainsaw, if you've messed with them, works. But this thing always has started super. One thing that I say is make sure that you use proper gas. And I buy no ethanol gas, zero ethanol, for my chainsaws, weed eaters, and lawnmowers. If I've had several repair people tell me that these will start after a while getting to where they don't run well and the filters clog up in the carburetor because of using ethanol gas. If you do and you're having good success, fine, but I have talked to a bunch of people, out that tell me they've had the same thing. So now we buy 100% gas for these things. Now in our vehicles I use ethanol gas, don't have a problem with that. But this winter I bought me a brush saw, and I've done a video on our it's FS91R, and it comes with a weed eater head on it, but you can change out and put this brush saw on there, and you can see the little blades that it's got, and it's pretty long. And it gets a little tiresome. I use that strap there when I'm out using it, but you could actually weed eat with it. But I bought this winter. I've done videos with my electric fence, and you've got to keep it clean. And like I do spray around the electric fence sometimes if it's not kept short enough. But this fall, when I'd moved the cows off, some of the Johnson grass kept growing, and it grew up tall and was hitting my electric fence. So I bought this. I also had a new fence I wanted to put up that had a bunch of little sapling stuff about the size of your finger. So I went and bought this to help clean that area out, and it really worked good. And there's a bunch of little thorn bushes that come up. And I want to tell you, if you're going to use a brush saw, weed eater, chainsaw, make sure you use eye protection. They come with eyeglasses to wear. Make sure you've got something on. I was trimming with this thing and doing really good, and I felt a limb swing up and hit me in the face. And thankfully I had on eye protection, because in a little while it got to throbbing, and I reached up there and there was a big old thorn right up above my eye that had stuck in there. I was thinking of how Jesus felt with a crown of thorns. Just imagine all that pain. I just had one little thorn and it hurt. Well, I didn't have a mirror or anything to look at up there where I was working, so I reached up there and figured out, and I just pulled the thing out. It felt better after I pulled it out. But there must be some kind of poison on those thorns, because my eye had a big thing come up there and it really festered up. And we eventually kept doctoring it and it healed up, but it looked ugly. Now I have a big round scar. I say big. If you get to looking, it looks big to me when you look in the mirror where that thorn was. But make sure, if that would have went in my eye, it probably would have put my eye out. So make sure you wear eye protection. They even make a whole face shield that you can wear with this, and that wouldn't be a bad idea either. That was the only problem I had. Otherwise, that thing starts and runs good. But for weed eating, I bought this little FS38 model. And just around here on my property, that's lightweight and easy to control. I'm getting older. I've had open heart surgery. My back aches sometimes. My legs ache. You know what I'm talking about. As you get older, you have a lot of excuses for problems. So anyway, I like this little weed eater here, and it's a dandy. But I only paid $129 for it. And so that's extremely cheap. This weed eater over here was $300 or $400. It was pretty pricey with everything, getting the head and all that. But I only paid $129 for this thing. I was like, if it quits me, I could throw it away. And I've had it, I think, 3 years now, and it has done wonderful. They had them on sale for $129. I notice now our store down here has them all the time for $129, and you can't beat that for a good, dependable weed eater. It's got one of those auto string heads on it. Right down here, 2 strings. You wind it, put the string on yourself. You don't have to buy it pre-done. You can do it yourself. Very easy. I take and roll me some string up and put it in my back pocket when I'm using it, and that way if I run out when I'm down the fence here or something, I can just stop and recoil it and be ready to go. They make done type also, but I like the Stihl products. I'll give you another thing, that a reason I really like the Stihl products is they sell these locally here in our hometown, and they service what they sell. If I go in there with a problem, they get right on it and start taking care of me. They don't wait around. They don't beat around the bush. If you buy it there, they take care of it. Now, people bring their products in, though, where they've bought it from some of these big chain stuff, or they bought it somewhere else and they can't get them to service it, or they've moved here and got Stihl products and they need a servicer. But if you bought it from them, they take care of you. I don't know if all the Stihl dealers do that, but our local one does. And if I take something in, I bought a big pole saw that I bought off of a man, and he was selling out and moving, and it was a chainsaw. I've done away with it now, but anyway, we got it hung up in a tree, and the tree limb fell and it bent it and ruined it. But I got it real cheap at a auction, and just a neighbor of mine here was selling out, and I went to the auction, got a good deal on it. It worked great, but it was so expensive to repair. I had them do a couple little items to it, but because that man had bought it from our local people, they gave me a great discount on the repair and really treated me right, just like I had bought it from them. Of course, I've bought, as you can see here, 3 things here, and I buy a lot of stuff from them locally. But mostly I like to support my local stores. We live in a small town, and I can go off to Lowe's and Home Depot and Best Buy and the big places, but I try to support my local community if at all possible. Our little feed stores here are mom and pop stores. This store here is a True Value. They've actually quit being a True Value since I bought these products. They're just a hardware store now. But I also write, it's kind of hard for you to tell it there probably, but I put my name on my stuff, and I put stolen from, and I also engrave it with a little engraver in the plastic. In case someone ever ran off with our stuff, I'd have it. My neighbor had a Kubota tractor, and right here near where I live, someone stole his tractor. And I was sitting in the living room, and it was about daylight, and some people come by with that tractor. The guy works off, and he was off working, and they come in here with the trailer on a truck, and I heard the tractor start up and stuff, and seen him come out here by here with his tractor. I just assumed he was getting it repaired or something. So we put it on when he'd let us know that evening when he got home that someone had took his tractor. Wanted to know if someone had borrowed it. And we was like, no, because he leaves his keys and everything. Very nice neighbor. If I needed it, all I'd have to do is go get it. And it's the same here with my stuff. If he needs it, he's welcome to it. But someone had stole his tractor, and so thankfully I seen and had a description of everything. The sheriff's office come here and done a report, and they caught the people the next day. And the sheriff sent me a deal on Facebook asking if this was the tractor. Well, Kubota tractors are all orange. So I said, well, you need to call my neighbor and check with him. So he did. And sure enough, it was the tractor, and this guy had been into this, doing this stealing tractors a lot. And so finally now it looks like he'll probably go to jail if our prosecutor don't let in. He's been caught 2 or 3 times, and every time they've let him go. So I put my name on stuff and get the serial numbers, have them wrote down. On everything that I have that's big, I write stuff down. Then if it ever gets stolen, I have a way to identify. My neighbor didn't have his serial number of his tractor, but he contacted the place he bought it from, and they had it. So he was able to deliver that and prove that it was his tractor, and they had stole it. But come right here at basically broad daylight. It was just getting daylight, but they come by, stole this tractor. May have to testify in court about it. They come and did a deal here. I was going to show you, it looks like I got the price tag right there, what I paid for this thing. I just noticed I hadn't ever taken it off. It's hard for me to tell if the camera is bringing that into view, but it says $329, and then I bought this kit extra, so I think I must have ended up with about $400 in that brush saw. But I believe that brush saw will last me for years. I'm not a heavy user of it. As you can tell, it still looks brand new, and I cleared a whole fence row with it this winter, and I'm fixing to take it out and use it some more today. But I just wanted to show you my preference for yard equipment is Stihl. I also have a Husqvarna riding lawnmower with a bagger on it, and I bought that used off of a guy for like $400 or $500, and it has been a dandy. I noticed my front tire has leaked down over the winter, which is nothing uncommon. I'll have to air all the tires up here when I go to mow, but anyway, I keep it parked in here in the shop if I need it, where I can keep it clean and nice kind of, and make it last longer. But I've had it the last 2 summers, and it has done wonderful too. I like Husqvarna products, and I used to love their chainsaws, but the last few Husqvarna chainsaws I've bought, I think they got bought out by Electrolux, the ones that build Frigidaire and all that, and I feel like they have cheapened their stuff. Used to, Husqvarna chainsaws would last you forever. It may have been just because I didn't burn 100% gas too, but I took them in to get them repaired and stuff, and had a lot of trouble with that chainsaw. And sometimes I'd get out here and crank, and it wouldn't start, and this Stihl will start right up. I don't feel like cranking on something. If it don't start after a couple of cranks, it's going to the repair shop, or I'm going to get a new one. I'm not going to jerk on that stuff and risk throwing back out or whatever. And if you ever had open heart surgery, they wire you together up in your chest there, and so I feel great now. It's been over a year, but there for a while, if I cranked on something, I had to be careful because you'd feel it when you done any kind of pulling. But I don't want something that's going to cause me trouble. I got that Stihl, like I say, now 3, maybe 4 years that I've had that little chainsaw, and I have cut some very big trees with it. I'll take you out here outside the shop, and I want to show you a tree that I have here that I've cut. That big tree there, it was every bit as tall as that right there, and you can see I've cut down to this stub. That stub there is so big that I can't, that chainsaw is just too little to tackle that. It was really too little for what a lot of that I did. I'm just going to show you a little bit on this pecan wood how big this is. Look at that piece there that I cut off. It gets bigger, of course, as it goes down, but that forked, and that was the forked part up there really high. We were afraid this tree was going to fall on our house. I have some friends in a neighboring town. We had a storm come through here last year, just a surprise storm, and tornadoes and stuff. Just all of a sudden a thunderstorm brewed up. They gave a thunderstorm warning. Next thing we knew, it had turned into a tornado, and it went to our neighboring town, and they had a double wide trailer, and their pecan tree fell over on it. But that's my deal. This faces the house, so I decided I would cut that off right there. But here's the other part. You see how tall that is. If that fell on your house, I've got my chicken brooder setting out here, but hopefully it would never fall on it. I'd hate that too. But it's that's the south side of the house, so, and if it falls that way, it just does. But this was leaning right over, went clear over out here over our house, and I rented a basket and got up there and kept trimming till I finally got that thing done and taken care of. But anyway, I sure appreciate you tuning in and watching today, and may God richly bless you.